Hello students. In the previous session, we were talking about water pollution and its control. We have talked about the Water Act and we have talked about the various reasons which cause water pollution, and we have also seen what are the main pollutants that we see in the contaminated water. Just 0.1% of the impurities can make the water unfit for usage, for human usage. So this we have seen in the previous session, and there are mainly two different types of pollutants that we can see. One kind of pollutants which can be separated just by physical methods like maybe filtration or sedimentation, and the other type of pollutants that we see here in the case of water pollution is the dissolved minerals or dissolved nutrients. Right, and these dissolved nutrients are the main cause to increase the BOD, whereas a depression in the DO level or dissolved oxygen level can be seen. And based on this, we have also studied in the previous session about this graph. I hope you remember about this graph and how the BOD and DO, they vary whenever the discharge is released. The sewage discharge is released here in the flowing water of the river, and what effects it will be having on the living organisms present there. So formation of the algal blooms and the death of the fishes or the aquatic organisms, and similarly the growth of Eichhornia crucipes, also called as terror of Bengal or water hyacinth commonly called, right? So this is the picture. We have already seen this in the previous session. Now see this sewage, if the contaminants are there, the pollutants are there in the water, and why that water is said to be unfit for drinking or usage is, see, this can cause serious problems, serious diseases such as dysentery, typhoid, jaundice, cholera, etc. if that water is taken, if that is consumed without a proper treatment. That is why it's very important to treat the water before it is being used, right? So if at all, if it is not fit for usage, at least it can be used for other purposes, maybe like gardening purposes or washing purposes, etc. Right? So we should make sure that it is properly treated, right? So unlike the domestic sewage, see, as I had told you, there are two main reasons. One is sewage and the other is industrial effluent. So this industrial effluent will be different from that of the sewage. The contaminants or the pollutants present in the sewage are different from that of the contaminants present in the industrial effluents. So what contaminants are there in the water released from the industries? Mainly like petroleum, it can be, or maybe from the petroleum industries, maybe from manufacturing or metal extraction industries, so chemical processing industries. So there are various different types of industries which may consist toxic substances like heavy metals, variety of organic compounds, different types of toxic chemicals, right? So these are the major things, along with some organic material, organic molecules. So all this comprises the waste that is released from the industries. Right? Heavy metals, when we say heavy metals, what is heavy metal? Heavy metal is something that is defined as an element, any metal element that is the density of which is more than 5 gram per cm cube of the water. So this can be mercury, cadmium, copper, lead, etc. Right? So these can be considered as the heavy metals. If the content of these metals in the water per cm cube of the water, if it is more than 5 gram per cm cube, then it will be considered as heavy metal, and these can cause very serious problems. What problems can be caused by heavy metals like this? So let us look at an example here. So that is what is biomagnification. Basically the mercury or DDT or any other heavy metal if you consider, so it causes something called as biomagnification. The name itself will suggest us, bio stands for living, magnify means what? To increase. Biomagnification means the content of these metals or heavy metals is going on increasing from one trophic level to another trophic level. So it goes on increasing from one level to another level, and that is what is termed as biomagnification here. right? But how does it goes on increasing? How will it increase from one level to another level? See, this is mainly because of organisms are continuously involved in a food chain. Maybe food web also sometimes. We have come across this already in the chapter of ecosystem, right? So food chain athwa food web alli involve agirodrinda, one organism has to depend upon other organism, maybe in a different trophic level, for the purpose of its nutrition. If an organism in the lower trophic level has got some content of any of those heavy metals in its body, then that heavy metal will be also transferred to the next level, and the content of that heavy metal in the next level will increase, and that is what is referred to as biomagnification. Let us look into the details of this now. See, this can be the definition which can be important for 1 mark. Biomagnification refers to increase in the concentration of toxicant at successive trophic levels. Any toxicant it can be. So need not be always heavy metal. Increase in the level of the toxicant from one trophic level to another trophic level is termed as biomagnification. A few toxicants such as often present in the industrial waste can undergo biological magnification in the aquatic food chain. Like how? This happens because of a toxic substance accumulated by organism that cannot be metabolized. Why this happens is because, see, if any organism, maybe trophic level 1, maybe trophic level 2 and 3. Now, organism present in the trophic level 1 is a plant, because always it should be a producer, right? So, this producer will absorb the various minerals present in the water. This is an aquatic plant. Say for example, any hydrilla or any plant, phytoplankton growing on the surface of the water. It is going to draw the nutrition from the water, and along with that nutrition, it will also absorb that heavy metal present in that water from the contaminated water. Now, this cannot be excreted. It can neither be metabolized in the body of the organism nor be excreted from the body of the organism, and that is why it remains there. And when that organism present in the trophic level 1 is consumed by another organism in the trophic level 2, so the same thing happens in the trophic level 2 also. That there also it can neither be excreted nor be metabolized. That is why the content of this toxicant goes on increasing from one trophic level to another trophic level. So that is what is explained in this plant. So this phenomenon is what is known as biomagnification. It can be well understood in mercury with the example of mercury and DDT. Okay, DDT is, so it is the chemical that is usually sprayed in the agricultural fields, right? Dichloro dinitro-toluene, right? So that is the full form of this. Now look at this information. The concentration of DDT is increased at successive trophic levels. See, you will understand by looking at this particular picture here. See, you are seeing the water body. So water has got DDT of 0.003 parts per million. From where did this DDT come? DDT ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, DDT has come and joined into this water by the running of water from the agricultural fields. When the farmer sprays the DDT to the crops in the agricultural field, so because of the rain, so this DDT present on the surface of the soil, it will run off along with the water and it will come and join to this lake or pond or whatever water body it is. Now, if you consider the amount of the DDT present in the water is 0.03 parts per million, see what happens here. The zooplanktons, which are actually consuming or feeding upon the phytoplanktons, will get 0.04 parts per million. So from water to phytoplanktons, actually phytoplankton is the mediator between these two now, right? So water parts per 0.03 parts per million iruvanತಹ DDT ಅನ್ನ phytoplanktons absorb ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ. Phytoplanktons ಮೇಲೆ ಯಾರು ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ? Zooplanktons ಫೀಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ, and that is why in the zooplanktons 0.04 parts per million you can see the increase there, right? And now zooplanktons are being fed by small fishes. Again you can see a raise in the level of or content of the DDT there. So 0.04 ppm to 0.5 ppm in the body of the small fish, and these small fishes are again in turn eaten by the large fishes, where again there is an increase in the content of the DDT in the body of the large fishes, that is 2 parts per million. And again you can see the large fish can be eaten away by the birds, the fish eating birds. There you can see even more increased content of the what is that, DDT in the body of the bird, that is 5 ppm. And that is what has been explained here, and this is what is called biomagnification, right? So when we look at this, of course it is going to disturb the metabolic activity of the all of these organisms. Whatever small content it can be present in the body of the organism, definitely it's going to disturb the metabolic activities of the organism. Like for example, you can see the high concentration of DDT in the birds, it causes thinning of the eggshells, because it is going to disturb the calcium metabolism. DDT present in the body of the bird is going to disturb the calcium metabolism. Calcium is one important nutrient or mineral that is very much responsible for the formation of calcareous shell on the egg, on the surface of the egg. Egg-nನ್ನು ನೋಡಿರ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು ಅಲ್ವಾ? The calcareous shell ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, that is completely made up of calcium. So if the calcium metabolism if itself is disturbed ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುವಾಗ, definitely the thinning of the layer of the egg will happen, and that is why premature death of the babies of the birds can happen. So this eventually causes the decline in the bird population, right? So these are the hazardous or harmful effects that we can see because of biomagnification. Right? Now, eutrophication. Eutrophication is another impact of water pollution that we see usually in the aquatic bodies, right? So eutrophication means it is a natural aging of a lake or any water body. Natural aging anta helidre, you can see, you might have noticed, maybe 10 years ago you must have seen a lake somewhere on the roadside. But after 10 years, maybe because of some reason, there is no lake anymore. Right? It has become a plain ground-like structure, a plain ground-like thing, right? Why this happens and what is this process is called? See, this is what is called as eutrophication. That means the lake is going to age naturally, and on one fine day, we will not see the lake anymore. It will become a completely land surface. It becomes a terrestrial surface. And why this happens, how this happens, is what is the question in front of us now. So that process is called as eutrophication. This can be again an important one mark question. Eutrophication is the natural aging of a lake by biological enrichment of its water. So nutrients enrichment agodrinda aging of the lake happens, leading to the death of that lake, right? Now these are the stepwise processes that I am going to explain. Young lake iddaga cold and clean water irutte. So this condition of the young lake having the cold water will support different forms of life, right? So different forms of life will be there. The aquatic organisms, the microorganisms or small plants, phytoplanktons, zooplanktons, they will thrive in this water happily. So that is the most favorable condition. Now look at this next stage. What happens in the process of eutrophication? Increase in the contents of nitrogen and phosphorus due to the streams draining into the stream, into the lake. Now, because of some activity in the agricultural field, it can be, or maybe the nitrogen and phosphorus waste can be released into the water bodies from the domestic waste or sewage anta en karitivi adrindagi. So due to some reason, because of the running of these nutrients into the lake, now enrichment of the lake happens with the nutrients called nitrogen and phosphorus, and nitrogen and phosphorus are two important nutrients for the growth of more and more plants, right? And now because of the enrichment, what happens? Plant and animal life burgeons. That means it increases rapidly. More and more number of plants will start appearing on the surface, and rooted plants, the marshy plants, so all of them, they are going to take place there. They are going to take cover there, and slowly they are actually increasing the organic matter in that water body, because these plants and animals are being produced in a rapid rate. So the excreta of these organisms, the dead leaves, the dead parts of all these microorganisms. So all that will form the organic debris. And this is going to fall on the bed of the lake, and slowly the decomposition activity also starts there. The microbial activity also starts there. When organic content increases, the microbial activity increases. What happens now? In the previous session we have studied, when the organic content and microbial activity increases, there will be a drastic fall in the content of the dissolved oxygen. There will be a drastic raise in BOD of the water, right? As a result of which, it will lead to the death of more and more organisms, and increase in the organic content even more, increase in the microbial activity even more, decrease in the DO level even more, and BOD even more increases. So all this activity proceeds, right? So over the centuries, if this keeps happening, increased organic content, so this keeps happening for centuries, maybe hundreds of years, the organic silt and organic debris pile up at the base of the lake. The lake grows shallower and warmer. Because of all this microbial activity, because of the rich organic content of the lake, the water now becomes warmer and supports even more microorganisms which can live in that particular warmer temperatures, right? So which can prefer to live in the warmer temperatures rather than colder temperatures. So slowly this will lead to marsh plants, because shallow anta helidre, the depth of the lake will become very less. The deeper, it was much more deeper before, and because of all this activity, what has happened, the depth of the lake, it has been decreased, as a result of which the rooted plants, they will start appearing there. When rooted plants appear, that will add even more organic matter to the water body, and slowly the marshy plants take root in the shallows and begin to fill in the original lake basin. So eventually lake gives away to a large masses of floating plants or bog, and finally what happens? It will be converted into land. Adu fill aagta enagutte, one fine day there is no more place to hold water, it becomes just flat land surface. This is the death of the lake. This is the aging, natural process of aging and death of the lake, and this process what is called as eutrophication. This can be an important 3 or 5 marks question. 1 mark definition kuda kelabahudu. So this is an important slide. Note this down. Okay, I hope you can all see this. So pause ಮಾಡಿ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ note ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. Now you can look at the process of eutrophication in this picture. You are seeing the nitrogen and phosphorus, the two main nutrients, are being added to the lake because of the streams running off into the lake, and slowly these nutrients cause an increased phytoplanktons. That means increased phytoplankton growth agutte, algal blooms create agutte. So oxygen levels goes on decreasing because oxygen is being used up for the process of decay. So this reduces the DO significantly and BOD increases, right? So slowly you can see the plants appearing, the rooted plants in the shallow waters, right? The algal blooms take cover the surface, right? So this is the process of eutrophication that you can see here. Now there is one more kind of eutrophication called cultural eutrophication. See, this is eutrophication means natural aging of the lake anta helide nanu. Cultural eutrophication means what? It is also called as accelerated eutrophication. Cultural eutrophication or accelerated eutrophication, both are same. So this can also be an important 1 mark question. Remember, when the pollutants created by human beings actually increase the rate of eutrophication, eutrophication ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು naturally ಆಗ್ತಿರುವಂಥದ್ದು ಒಂದು process, naturally, right? But because of human activity, because of extensive human activity, because of extensive pollution caused, more and more organic nutrients are added to the water, and the process of eutrophication accelerates. It will happen at a much faster rate than the usual rate, and that is what is called as cultural eutrophication. So just read out this. Pollutants from man's activities like effluents from the industries and homes can radically accelerate the aging process. This phenomenon has been called as cultural or accelerated eutrophication. This can be, as I just told you, this can be an important 1 mark question. Note this down. right? So whenever the pollution happens, or cultural eutrophication or accelerated eutrophication happens, or any eutrophication, even the natural eutrophication for that matter, the prime contaminants are what? The nitrates and phosphates, as we have already considered. So this is the gist of what has been already explained, which act as the plant nutrients. They overstimulate the growth of the algae, causing the unsightly scum and unpleasant odors. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ಫೇಸ್, ಒಂದು ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಇಟ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸಸ್ ಅ ಫೌಲ್ ಓಡರ್, ಅನ್ಪ್ಲೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಓಡರ್, ವಿಚ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ರಿಲೀಸಸ್ ಸಮ್ ಟಾಕ್ಸಿಕ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಸೊ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ರಾಬ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಡಿಸಾಲ್ವ್ಡ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ವೈಟಲ್ ಟು ದ ಅದರ್ ಅಕ್ವಾಟಿಕ್ ಲೈಫ್. ಸೊ ಟಾಕ್ಸಿಕ್ ಕೆಮಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ರಿಲೀಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಸ್ನಾಚ್ ಅವೇ ದ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ದ ಅದರ್ ಆರ್ಗಾನಿಸಮ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ವಾಟರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ರಿಕ್ವೈರ್ಡ್ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್. So finally that becomes poisonous to the whole population and they die. Decomposition happens, decomposing matter remains, and slowly what happens? The lake literally chokes to death. So this is what is called eutrophication. This is the entire gist of eutrophication that we have given here. Now, another type of pollution that we see usually in the water bodies is heated or thermal waste or thermal pollution. We can call this as, right? So it is nothing but, see, again from the thermal power plants it can be, or nuclear power plants, what do? Is they use water as the coolant system. They will be making the water to flow in the channel, in a proper channel, so that this flowing water will take away the heat produced by the furnace or the reactor, isn't it? So by doing so, the water will get hot, the water will be heated, and this heated water, if it is not properly treated, sometimes even the toxic minerals, toxic chemicals must have also been dissolved into this water, and this very hot water, if it is directly released into any water bodies, there will be a sudden change in the temperature in that water body. See, you have learnt about in the previous chapter, euryhaline and stenohaline organisms ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕಲ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? So eurythermal, stenothermal, that means the organism present in any water aquatic ecosystem, a water or aquatic ecosystem, they are adjusted to the environmental conditions present there. So they think that it is their own favorable condition, that is why they have chosen that as their habitat. Yes or no? If that is the case, if you are going to introduce very hot water to that particular ecosystem, sudden change in the temperature will cause the death of large number of organisms, right? So thermal power plants or any other industries for that matter, they are going to eliminate or reduce the number of organisms which are sensitive to high temperatures. So this is common, right? So even if for the human beings also, if there is sudden change in the temperature, we will not be able to survive, we will not be able to adjust to that high temperature. Or if it is lowered immediately also, then that also may become a problem to us. And it may enhance the growth of plants and fish in extremely cold areas, but only after causing damage to the indigenous flora and fauna. See, by introducing the hot water into a normal lake, that hot water, that may bring about a new favorable condition for the growth of new set of species now, right? But that before generating new species, it will actually destroy, it will actually cause the extinction of indigenous ಮೊದಲೇ ಇರುವಂತಹ species ದು extinction ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. So that is a great loss to the biodiversity once again, right? So this is about the thermal waste or heated or thermal pollution ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ, right? Now this is the case study that we need to study, the case study we have to make regarding the water pollution, that we will consider in the next class.